Thank you so much. It was a complete package actually. Today's presentation was complete package. For me, like to know if I was a new guy in the industry, I would love to hear all those points. So where do I start? Where I can lead, and what should I do in between? So it was nice presentation. Thank you so much. Yeah, if
Thank you.
anyone got any questions, so please you can always ask. You can type in and Chris can answer.
You can also type it in case you're not so proficient in English. That's totally fine. But I then have to find the chat firstly.
Yeah, you can share your screen and then.
Yeah, this is what I will do now. All right. So there we go. Okay, perfect. So now it's your time. In case yeah. All right, this is good to hear, Ahmad.
Yeah, actually, what happens is like in most of the cases, like I've been teaching for a while now, and I've been found out that the student here are not counseled properly, unfortunately, and maybe as you said that okay, the finding a good mentor is most important thing because every developer cannot be a good mentor because you cannot say like he's following the best practices or he know what he should know. So yes, most of the time people are confused in how to start and where it will end because people start doing something and they don't get much more information from the people surrounding them, and that they make them confused that okay, if I'm doing on the right path or not, if I have choose React Native or Flutter for hybrid mobile application, and you explain them very well that okay, React Native is not going anywhere, but Flutter is taking React Native's market share, and people with the new application because if someone has already invested in React Native and they got the very huge application, they will not switch to the Flutter anymore. Yeah.
Let's put it that way. I know quite some companies who invested in React Native and switched to native because this is specific for web. You can get the best performance most of the time with native web features like HTML, CSS, JavaScript. Maybe you use a framework like Svelte or Fast. But I know some companies who switched because they needed the performance. But yeah, you're right. This is the reason why I think React Native will go nowhere because there are so many projects out there. It's like Java. Like, who's using Java anymore? It's like no one writes Java anymore except for the legacy projects, which are like millions. So yeah, there will always be a need for Java developers.
Exactly, and one of my friend is working with Apple company, and I asked him, okay, what backend framework you use? So he told me that we are using Java. So I said,
Java.
oh, okay, yeah, is it still Java? So he said Java is not going anywhere because Apple has invested so much, and it got a huge code base. So it cannot be like overnight shift to other language. So
yeah,
well, this is correct. So. Yeah, but I've seen the increase in demand in local industry as well because, as you said, like for example, you are in Germany and you are looking for a Flutter guy, and you come to Pakistan and talk to some agency. So ultimately, they are looking to hire some Flutter developers. So I on the LinkedIn I follow the job post for the local companies as well, and I see the trends where it's going. So yeah, there are jobs for React Native, but Flutter as well. So yeah, this is a great part. So
yeah.
there is a question like Flutter is like for front end side. So what backend application they should learn to have a like full stack developer? So what do you recommend?
So before I answer this question, there was actually a really good question. Maybe it was some kind of question you asked with the mentor and how to get one. This is what actually I missed to say. You can find mentors. And this is what I meant. You don't have to write, I need a mentor. So most of the people actually you're talking to don't know they're your mentors, but but they are actually working like a mentor. So what I did actually is I got in touch with a lot of Flutter developers. I got in touch with a lot of developers by joining meetings. I'm a big fan before Corona and COVID by going like one time or 2 times in a month to meetings, to programming meetings. We have a specific platform for this. It's called Meetup in Germany. And yeah, you get to know other developers. You get to know how they're working and if they're a lot better than you. And funny enough, most of the time they are if you started out new. So so yeah, you can get new mentors by simply just joining meetings, by being able to talk to them, to other people's, and to get to know them. And yeah, this is just my advice. Go out if it's possible in your country. Go out, find new people who already have done the journey which you wanna join. So to the question, I think what you ask here, what language or framework do you prefer to backend of your Flutter app? This really is totally use case dependent. So there's not this best backends. So for example, this comes up. We will answer the first question: when to use Firebase or custom database in your Flutter app? Is Firebase costly when the app grows? So if you have a small app, and you know it will be always a small app, like or it can also be a huge app, but it will only need a small database, and you know it will only need a small database. You should definitely go with Firebase because it's super easy to implement. It's no SQL. NoSQL is like really intuitive. So yeah, you should definitely go with Firebase. It is costly, but if it's small, no problem. The problem really comes if it's more complex, if the queries, specifically the queries, become more complex. And yeah, and you need a way to maintain it better. And the problem here currently really is with Firebase that you are directly querying most of the data within your app code. This means if you need to do any kind of adjustments for the backend code, you have to publish a new version, a new app version. And this can be really problematic if you need to rapidly change the logic, because within the mobile development, you have to go through a publishing process, which can take around 2 to 2 days. And in worst case, I had this that it took 2 weeks to publish a change because they were reviewing the entire app for whatever reason. I have no idea why. And so yeah, if you have a really large data set and if the queries are complicated, you should do this with either NoSQL or SQL, but you should not do this with Firebase. You can use MongoDB, write your own API. It can be a REST API, it can be a GraphQL API, it can be a gRCP, depending on your use case, how fast the API must be. Most of the time, actually, GraphQL and REST APIs are totally fine. If you need really fast API, you can use gRCP, but I wouldn't recommend this in case if you know what you're doing, then you can use it, but it's more difficult. But yeah, you can use Firebase for small projects. For large project, I definitely wouldn't do this. So this is a no-go. It will sooner or later break your projects, and you will have to rewrite the entire backend again. And I'm not telling you this because I don't like Firebase. I tell you this because I had to do this. I had a client who told me, oh, it will be super easy, no problem. And then he added functionalities and more and more and more. And then sooner or later, we had to rewrite the entire backend because it became too complicated and too pricey with Firebase. So yeah. So what language or framework do you prefer? Okay, so yeah, as I mentioned, framework, GraphQL, it's like more a package, but yeah, REST API, GraphQL, and you can use whatever framework you like to. You can use Node.js, you can use Kotlin and Spring. This is totally up to you, depending what language you like. For example, I'm not the biggest fan of JavaScript. I'm currently learning Node.js, but after Node.js, I really want to learn Spring because Spring is working with Kotlin. And I'm really a big fan of Kotlin because Kotlin is type safe. It gives you all of the advantages of all of the other languages without any kind of disadvantages. So it really is up to you what kind of, you can learn Ruby, etc. It's up to you what you prefer. So what future of Web 3 according to Flutter development? Flutter can easily integrate with use of backend of Solidity or not?
It's about blockchain connectivity with the blockchain Ethereum and the kind of thing.
Okay.
So I know that there is a Web3 library with the Flutter, and it's called Flutter_Web3, I think, which gets you connected with the blockchain infrastructure and use the Ethereum within this. So yeah, I think Flutter is quite flexible, right?
Yeah, exactly. This is so. I gotta be honest here. I haven't worked with blockchain and Flutter, so I have worked with it in web, but not in Flutter. So I gotta look it up. But my assumption would be following, because it's not platform specific. Specifically, blockchain is not platform specific. There will be no problem with integrating it within your app. This is my assumption. There's no reason why you need any kind of platform specific iOS code or Android code. So yeah, I suppose if there's not a package out there, you can write it yourself. This should be no problem.
Actually, thing is like the Flutter is a front end side, right? The only responsibility for Flutter is to call a backend function, maybe a GraphQL function or REST API, or in case of Web3 services. So whatever happening on the backend side doesn't have to be worried for us, like as a Flutter developer, because we're not concerned with how the backend is working. Even it's Java, it's in TypeScript, Node.js, or Spring Boot or something. So yeah, it's all okay to have
exactly.
Flutter.
And one more thing here this is actually what I thought at the beginning. It's only front end, but it's not 100% true, because you can actually write your entire server, and this is what I actually did just for practice in Dart. You can publish your project, your front end code plus your backend server in Dart within one project. This is possible. The big problem here really is that you don't have any kinds of support of libraries like REST API or GraphQL. You have to write your own library set for this. And this is really, so yeah, this is the reason why I'm not recommending it, but you can do so if you like to. And if you're a hardcore developer, but I wouldn't do this anymore. So what strategy you use for responsive UI in Flutter? Does size package is good to implement, or should we use media query? Okay. So this is actually what I thought quite a lot about. I suppose your question is mostly targeting web, because on mobile it's also specific, it's also important, but it's not that important like on map. In web you can have like any shape here, and you have to prepare your UI for any shape. And what I noticed is working with the media query, with the size config, that screen width and screen height, plus working with constraints. This is what I think is the best tool. Like getting a method to work with constraint that your widget is constrained to a width of max like half the screen or 500 pixel, and then your widget will be able to increase to like 500 pixels, and then it will stop. And this is actually what all of the other websites are doing. They are giving constraint to the widgets, and then if they reach the constraint, they stop. And this is what you can actually also do within mobile development. I wouldn't recommend it probably. What I'm doing within mobile development is adjusting the code specific for some devices. I most of the time have three sizes. I have mobile size, large, medium, and small. And I'm determining those sizes by some examples. I don't have the numbers right now on top of my head, but I'm determining them on different sizes. So up to 500 pixels or whatever, it's small. Then up to 800, it's large, medium, and then up from 500 to from 800 to up, it will be large, for example. And with this method, I'm able to actually determine quite good how flexible the sizes of the widget should be. For web, as I already mentioned, it's a little bit more complicated. You should work with constraint and media queries. This is actually a good guess. And yeah, two different mobile screen sizes. Okay. Okay. So for mobile screen sizes, I would recommend you maybe Ami can show you this, because he has access to some of the code bases where we are actually implementing the mobile size enum. how to use this. But yeah, the mobile size. So if you're determining how large the specific screen is, of how large the device is, and then you're saying, okay, if it's small, you have to be 100 pixels. If it's medium, you have to be 150 pixels. And most of the time you don't have to do this actually. Most of the time it should be enough to simply just wrap your widgets in a flexible, or to simply just use aspect ratio. Like this is what a lot of people are actually doing wrong. They are missing out on flexibles, on aspect ratios, etc. They should first always use this. But if there is a use case where you 100% need a size, you should firstly use the mobile size. And if this one is not working for whatever reason, you can use constraints. Yeah, so this would be my advice to you.
Yeah, most of the time the Flutter like adjusted itself, and yes, we've got the aspect ratio, and we can work on the ratio, scaling based on the ratio of the screen size. It's a great idea, I think.
Yeah, exactly. All right. So any more questions? So there were some really good, it's actually a really good question. I really want to find out more about the blockchain, how to implement this. Because maybe it would be interesting to implement a mining algorithm, etc., on your device, but I have no idea. So I will check it out later on.
So like one last pro tip from your side to the student everywhere listening you, because this video I'm going to post it on the YouTube maybe, so rest of the guys would be listening to you. So what you give them advice to have a good career success in their life?
So yeah, firstly, if you're new, put in the extra hours, because you will need it. As I already mentioned, don't forget to also do other stuff like sport, eat healthy, for example. But you should definitely learn a lot. Don't memorize it, and understand, and market yourself correctly. So if you want to work as a freelancer, that's what I'm oftentimes seeing. I'm seeing like a crappy UI website, specifically if you're looking for jobs. So if you don't look for jobs, like, yeah, you can chill out. But if you really want to have a new job, market yourself properly, update your website, show off what you can, what your journey has already been, and yeah, go to websites like freelancer.de, Upwork. I'm not entirely sure if there are even more within your country. There are some more which are Germany specific, Europe specific within Germany. And if you can't find at the beginning a job because you have no experience or you don't have any kind of projects from clients, you can also simply just say, hey, I can write you to specific, you can write offers, like if it's really a small website, hey, I can write you an app for really low price. So you get the starting point. It's really important for you to get the first 1 or 2 clients are the most difficult ones. Once you have the first 1 or 2 clients, it will be really easy for you to find more. But yeah, the first 1 or 2 clients, you need to get them. And in case you don't get it, and you are a good developer, then you should simply just say, okay, I can really make it really, really cheap. And once you have this one project, then you can increase your rate. This is actually how I did it. So it was working out. So I suppose, hope that it's also working out in your part. All right.
Yes, thank you. Okay. So yeah, there is no shortcut to success. Actually, you have to work very hard. Like you said, that you have to put extra hours working on that. And you have to kill your sleeping hours from 12 to maybe 6 or 7. And the rest of the time you have to study hours.
Well, let's say it this way. This is what I most of the time see. I see people who are saying, I have no time. And then I see those people like watching 4-hour movies in the evening. Like, okay, you have the time to watch this movie, but you don't have time to learn. Like, you can use this 4 hours either by doing something productive, like doing sport, for example. Evening is the best time to relax your mind. Or if you have some works, this is what I'm actually oftentimes doing. I go to sport and then I work between 9 to 12 in the evening, because then my mind is relaxed. I'm fast in developing, and I'm not watching any kind of movies. I work because it's why shouldn't I like what I'm doing. So this is really, most of the time you have enough time. You're just telling yourself that you don't have enough time. This is what I'm seeing. And yeah, this is my recommendation. I try to simply just skip the tasks which are consuming your time and which don't get you any kind of profit. Yeah.
Right. So I think questions are over now. Actually, you've explained it very well. So I would like to thank you so much for joining us and giving us the brilliant piece of advices to get us know how we can even get better programmers and have success in the industry. So I think this is it from
Yeah,
my
you're
side.
welcome. It was a pleasure.
Yeah. All right.
All right, then I wish you a great day. In case my day has just started, and yeah, maybe we will hear soon from each other again once you have finished the course. Well, let's see who's making the course. And yeah, it was a pleasure talking with you all.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Chris, for joining in. We'll definitely try to get you back on the screen now often.
Yeah. All right, awesome. Then I lock myself off. Thanks again, and I wish you a great day, you all. Bye.
Bye. All right, guys. जनाब, तो उम्मीद करता हूँ कि सबने सुना होगा और मुझे वाकई बहुत पसंद आया। जो चीज़ें मैं खुद अपने लिए फॉलो करता हूँ और जो चीज़ मैं अपने स्टूडेंट्स को हमेशा बताता हूँ, और इवन मैंने आपको भी कई दफ़ा कहा कि यू हैव टू वर्क वेरी हार्ड। आपको काम करना है और आपको याद रखना नहीं है, आपको मेमोराइज नहीं करना, आपको सिर्फ समझना है, बैक ऑफ द माइंड में पता होना चाहिए कि ये हो कैसे रहा है। तो मुझे अगर हॉरिजॉन्टल चीज़ चाहिए तो उसके लिए क्या चाहिए होगा, कॉलम चाहिए होगा। कॉलम कैसे लिखना है वो यू कैन गूगल इट इन 30 सेकेंड्स, और उसने भी कहा कि आई ऑल्सो डू दिस। तो दिस इज जनरल थिंग, एंड आई होप कि ये क्रिस को आज बुलाना आप लोगों के लिए बहुत ज़्यादा फायदेमंद साबित होगा। आई होप यू लाइक इट। तो आई थिंक आज के लिए इतना ही काफ़ी है, और आज की क्लास यहीं एंड करते हैं। जो हमने एग्जाम्पल अभी स्टार्ट की थी उसको हम अगली क्लास में कंटिन्यू करेंगे, ताकि जो आज हमने क्रिस से सीखा है हम थोड़ा सा अपने आप को प्रोसेस करने के लिए थोड़ा सा टाइम दें कि जो पॉइंट्स उसने, टिप्स हमें दिए हैं, उसको किस तरह हम अब सोचें कि अगर अब हमें सक्सेस चाहिए तो किस तरह हम उसको लेके चलें। एंड यस, ही वाज एनर्जेटिक। इवन उसके लिए जब मीटिंग उसने ज्वाइन किया था तो उसके लिए सुबह 5 बज रहे थे जर्मनी में, बट ही वाज इंटरेस्टेड कि वो आप आए और आपको बात करें, क्योंकि सुबह 5 बजे आपको मीटिंग अटेंड करने के लिए वो ज़रूर 4 बजे उठा होगा। तो ऑफ कोर्स ही इज़ वेरी बिजी, वेरी वेरी बिजी गाय, इज़ वर्किंग ऑन सो मेनी प्रोजेक्ट्स। जैसे बताया कि उसको एक एजेंसी चला रहा है। तो यस, he is very nice, इसीलिए मैंने सोचा कि मैं उसको कहूँ कि वो आए, और he agreed to it on the first call, और then today was the day। तो ठीक है गाइस, इंशाल्लाह मिलते हैं अगले वीक with new classes, inshallah, with the new topic, and of course we'll continue what we left off। so जब तक के लिए thank you very much, take care, Allah Hafiz।